11:47 p.m. WWII. February 27, 1942. Admiral Karl Dorman looks at a metal box with strange dials in the command center of the HNLMS De Ruyter, and over the next 6 hours, 9 Allied warships will sink, costing 2,300 sailors dead. All because he called that box a useless toy. The problem is that the Japanese had the same technology. How did an outnumbered fleet achieve a perfect victory without losing a single ship? No one realized it until a 28-year-old Dutch engineer found the mistake that cost an entire battle. Have you ever ignored something that could have changed everything? Admiral Dorman did it for 14 straight days, and he paid with 2,300 lives. In the command center, he would look at maps, and every time his second officer pointed to the metal box, he ignored it. It was not distrust but absolute certainty that his eyes were better than electronics. The installation was complete, and the operators were ready, but Dorman never turned the equipment on in real combat. The box was the Type 271 surface search radar, a British set with a range of 25 kilometers, 15.5 miles, and an accuracy of 50 meters, 164 feet, which was never used. This would cost everything. To understand Dorman's mistake, one must compare the traditional visual observation method with the technological one. While observers try to locate ships with binoculars, radar uses radio waves that return after hitting the metal, calculating distance and speed with 99.7% accuracy. Radar works at night, in storms, and detects threats 23 minutes earlier than the human eye. Engineer Jan van der Does discovered this by testing the system on February 26, one day before the battle. At 5:23 p.m., he turned on the radar and saw an echo 23.4 kilometers away. When he took his binoculars, he saw nothing. Only 6 minutes later did a mast appear on the horizon. Van der Does saw that the data didn't lie, but Dorman had 50 years of naval experience telling him, "Trust your eyes," and he chose the past over the future. February 27, 1942. 3 p.m. Dorman receives an order to intercept the Japanese fleet and, despite Van der Does's pleas, he insists, "I don't trust magic boxes. I trust my men and their eyes." What Dorman didn't know was that the Japanese had Type 22 radar, and Admiral Takagi believed in the technology. Takagi developed entire tactics based on radar, conducting 47 practical exercises and personally training every officer. The irony is that the British Type 271 radar was superior to the Japanese Type 22 in range and accuracy, but better technology was useless. 4:47 p.m. The fleets sight each other at 28 kilometers, but the Japanese had known the Allied position for 34 minutes, discovering it before they even saw smoke on the horizon. This 34-minute advantage allowed the Japanese to position themselves perfectly. When Dorman ordered fire, his observers shouted inaccurate corrections. On the other side, Takagi used precise radar numbers to calculate and fire. The first Japanese salvo, consisting of 8 203mm shells, fell just 50 meters from HMS Exeter. This is statistically impossible to achieve on the first salvo without knowing exactly where to aim. In just 1 hour, 4 Allied ships were destroyed or incapacitated, while the Japanese ships were untouched. Van der Does, on his own, turned on the Type 271 in the command center, and the screen showed the Japanese ships moving in perfect formation, adjusting their position based on the Allies' movements. They were seeing the Allied fleet in real time. Van der Does shouted, "Sir! They are flanking. Radar shows it," but Dorman, looking into the darkness, replied, "Impossible. Observers see nothing." The 34-minute advantage afforded by the Japanese radar allowed them to be in the perfect place. 11:51 p.m. Total darkness. Zero visibility. The isolated De Ruyter was still sailing. Van der Does saw 2 echoes approaching on the radar at 12 kilometers and screamed, "2 cruisers. Northeast. 12 kilometers. Dorman grabbed his binoculars and saw nothing, ordering them to maintain course. The engineer insisted, "Sir! Radar doesn't lie. They are." The explosion followed immediately. At 11:53 p.m., a torpedo hit the De Ruyter, and a second one broke it in half. The ship sank at 11:56 p.m., taking 366 lives, including Dorman. The Japanese cruisers Nachi and Haguro, guided by Type 22 radar, fired torpedoes at 12 kilometers in total darkness, with a perfect hit, something impossible without electronics. The Battle of the Java Sea ended with 9 Allied ships sunk and 2,300 dead, against 0 Japanese losses. Van der Does survived clinging to wreckage. He later said, "I saw everything on the screen. I saw exactly what was going to happen." But no one believed it. This battle changed naval doctrine forever, and within 6 months, all navies made radar mandatory. A year later, At the Battle of the Bismarck Sea, all Allied ships actively used radar, resulting in 8 Japanese transports and 3 destroyers sunk, and 0 Allied losses. Same waters, different technology, opposite result. The difference between victory and defeat was confidence and doubt. Karl Doorman was an experienced admiral, but he did not know the future. Jan van der Does was a 28-year-old engineer, but he understood one truth: data doesn't lie. 2,300 men died because experience rejected innovation, and tradition ignored science. The war was won not by those who had the best technology, but by those who used the technology.